In this lesson, we are going to implement the Backend API for sign-in. In the final version of JSM Zona, when you enter your email and password, let's say I enter a wrong one, in the network section and SHR selected, when I click on sign in, as you see, I'm getting this API. I'm sending this API request to /user/sign-in, and it's the response that I get, invalid user or password. And if I enter the right user and password and sign in, I will be redirected to home page. But the important part is this: API request as a post method, and the response is 200. And if you check, what I pass is email and password through request payload, and for the result, I'm getting all information about this user and an extra field which is token, and this token is generated by JSON Web Token, and I need that for next request. So in this lesson, we are working only on backend side, so there is nothing on the front end. And in the next session, we will connect the backend and front end together. Great. Let's get coding. Open your VS Code. And while your front end and backend is running, it's time to go to backend folder right here. And inside the routes, select user router. I'm going to add a new API, and it's gonna be a post API, HTTP post request. User router dot post. The address is sign in, and here I'm using rec and res. At this point, I'm going to send a request to the database to get a user with this email and password. So const sign in user equal to await. Here I'm going to get access to user model from Mongoose and call find one function on it. Find one accept an object, and this object is like a filter. Email should be to get access to the front-end data, on the body section of the HTTP request that's sent by front-end data. I need to type this rec.body. And after that, I can enter the name of field, let's say email. So in the front end side, I need to fill the email in the body section of my request. And by setting that, I can read that right here. The second filter is password, and it should be like rec.body.password. Great. At this point, I have sign in user, but because I'm using await, this function should be async. Here it's time to check the signed in user. First of all, let's implement a negative scenario. If sign in user doesn't exist, exclamation mark, sign in user, what should I return to the front end? For sure, I need to set the status to 401. It's unauthenticated or unauthorized. res.status 401 and send. Here I'm sending a message equal to invalid email or password. Great. We just implemented the bad scenario here. For the good scenario, we will go for that later in this lesson. At this point, I need to install body parser to be able to read the body section of request. To do that, open your terminal, a new window, and npm install body-parser. It's a middleware by Express. And by having this, you can read the content in the body section of a request. So it's time to use that. Click on server. At the very top of this screen, it's time to import body parser from body parser. And right after creating app, let's say right after course, app.use body parser.json. We are using JSON because the data that I'm going to send as a body is in JSON format. Great. At this point, we are ready to test our API for invalid user and password. You need to install Postman to test API. So go to postman.com and click on download button and follow the instruction to have Postman on your computer. After that, run Postman. I just run it right here. Click here on plus icon, and for creating a new request, click on post because we are sending post request, and the address should be http://localhost 5000/API/users/signin. In the body section of this request, select raw, and the text should be JSON, and inside that create curly braces. Inside that enter email, put that in double quote. Let's say admin@example.com, and I'm going to enter a wrong password. Password is JS Amazona, but I just enter a 1 to enter a wrong one. Let's test it. Click on send. What do you get? Invalid user or password. And what's the status? 401 unauthorized. Great, we successfully tested our sign-in endpoint for invalid user and password. I'm going to install Express Async Handler at this point because when there is an error in our application, which is unhandled error, it stops running our application and do not send back correct error message to the user. So at this point, I'm going to install Express Async Handler. Open your terminal, npm install express-async-handler and press enter. After installing this, we need to import that in the user router. So let's go to user router at the very top, import express async handler from express async handler. So after importing express async handler, it's time to go to your async function and wrap your whole responder to this. So type this, create a round bracket, open in round bracket, and at the very end, put a closing one. So by having this, you wrapped responder function to this endpoint inside Express Async Handler. Do the same for create admin like this. Great. So all functions are wrapped in Express Async Handler. When you have Express Async Handler, at this point, you need to go to server.js at the very end, right before app.listen. You need to add this code to handle all errors in your Express instance. App.use, there are 4 parameters: error, request, response, and next. And inside this function, I'm going to check const status equal to if error.name exists and error.name equal to validation error. What I'm gonna send back is error code 400. It means that user entered something wrong. And otherwise 500, it means that server has a problem. So res.status should be the status code, and what I want to send is the message of error. It should be error.message. By using this, all errors in our Express will be handled in this function. Let's go to plan. We are In this step, testing invalid user and password, and it's time to go for entering correct user and password. If you remember from the very beginning of this lesson, we just generated a token. So we need to generate a token with JSON Web Token. Let's install that. Open your terminal again. npm install JSON Web Token. By using JSON Web Token, you can create a token based on your user info, and for next request, you can use that to authenticate your request. Go to user router, and inside that, for sign-in, the else part. If sign-in user exists, I need to rest.send the data that I'm going to enter. ID should be sign-in ID, name should be signed user name, email will be sign-in user.email, is admin is gonna be sign-in user is admin, and the last one is token. And here it's time to generate a token. Generate token, and the parameter is sign-in user because we are going to generate token based on the information of this user. Generate token should be in util.js. Right click on Backend, new file, and set file name to util.js, and inside that export const generate token equal to user, and inside this I'm going to call JWT, return JWT, it stands for JSON Web Token, and call sign method of it. The parameter that I'm going to pass is the ID should be user underline ID. Second one is name, should be user dot name. Email should be user dot email, and the last one is admin is gonna be user dot is admin. Sign accept two parameter. Second parameter is a master password, is JSON Web Token secret. Let's introduce that like this: config.jwt underline secret. It should be a secret string, and by using this, a hacker can decrypt your token. Let's fix this typo here. Put a colon. And it's time to define JW secret inside config. First of all, get rid of G and type it again and press here to import config. And also it's time to import JWT. Import JWT from JSON Web Token. At this point, I need to go to config and define this. Open config.js, and after MongoDB URL, JWT secret should be process.env.jw2 secret, and open your env file, and here create JWT secret and enter a secret string, something secret, whatever you like. It's the master key to encrypt your token, and don't forget it should be in a safe place because a hacker can use that to decrypt your token. Let's check what we did so far. Here it's time to import generate token, get rid of n and type it and press this to import it right here from util.js. And let's check util.js, everything seems right, and config.js. Let's check the result. Send correct password, and let's see what we have. That's it. We have all information about this user from database, and also we have a token from JSON Web Token. By using this token, we can authenticate next request for this user. Let's review what we did together. First of all, we install body parser, async handler, and JSON Web Token, and then we create a JSON secret in the config, We updated server.js to use bodyparser.json, and also we handled all errors in our Express application. Also in the util.js, we created generate token based on JSON Web Token, and at the end we defined a router for sign in, and this router enabled us to sign in user. Great, we just implemented all steps are sign in screen backend lesson, and for next lesson we are going to connect the sign in screen UI and sign in screen backend in sign in screen action lesson. Until that lesson, bye bye.